You know, there are going to be those days when you don't get everything done, and sometimes you might not get anything done.
Brother, brother, don't you know, it don't matter where you go, bad news has a way to seek you out. You can change the pace, you can run and hide, but that don't change the folks outside. The world just has a bite, it's pretty stout. Righteousness won't fill your cup, your dues you don't just won't add up. Sometimes you gotta fake it till you make it. Show them just what you're made of, and all your dreams will stand right up. It's all right there, just ready for the taking.
Hey y'all, welcome to Stivers Homestead. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jen.
So today's video, it's a kind of druggy, rainy, cloudy day today here in Kentucky, which we needed it. I know a lot of you all are just flooding and barely got your heads above water, but here in Kentucky we needed it. I apologize if you hear a little bit of the wind in the background. But the rainy day got us thinking about some stuff that we've been seeing and that we wanted to talk about and really kind of share with you all.
Yeah, a lot of people, most of our comments are people saying, you know, you guys are always smiling, you're always happy, and you know, how do you do that? How do you always find the time to get stuff done and still smile and still go through the day positive? Because the truth is, we do a lot.
Yeah.
Our days are pretty packed from sun up to sundown. We never really stop going. We've always got something to do, especially now with doing videos and, you know, all the animals, the kids, homeschool, the house chores, everything. Zach works a few days, the garden. I mean, it's never ending with stuff. And then, you know, you throw in 3 meals a day for the kids and making sure everybody's fed, teeth brushed, everybody's clean, happy. It's a lot. And you know, we're not here to say that we have a perfect routine by any means, but I think one thing that we're both really good at is time management, and we're good at fitting in everything that needs to be done by priority and what's most important, and then usually, not every day, but usually the other things flow into place and we get everything done at least by the time we go to bed.
Yeah. So we wanted to get into a little bit more specific details on really how we do that. How do we accomplish everything? And it's all about starting your day off right. So, you know, if you're sitting there and you feel like, well, if my garden looks good, then my house doesn't look good. Or if my house looks good, then my garden is getting weeds all over because I can't just fit it all in. Well, this is the point of this video on trying to, first off, just encourage you that it's okay. We all have been there. And secondly, maybe give you a little inspiration or ideas to try to see if it helps. So how we kick off our day to start. So we really have 2 different style days. Am I at home or am I at work? So let's start with when I'm at home.
Yeah.
Because that's a little bit more common. So when I'm at home, I get up way before the rest of the family. I'm not doing anything, but that's my time. Everybody needs their own time. Hers is more of at night once we go to bed, and that's not every time, but everybody needs your own time to kind of wind down and get ready. So mine's early in the morning. I wake up, I usually am checking some comments and drinking some coffee, but music's my thing. Music starts my day off well. It puts me in a good mood, and it really gets me ready for the day. So music and coffee are kind of my things that I need to have a successful day right out the get-go, because if you start it rough, or if you start it in a bad mood or in an upset mood, the whole day is going to affect that. It's going to feel it. You're not going to be excited about the things you're doing. So find your thing that starts your day right. Whatever that is. If it's, you know, reading the Bible or being in your garden or just sitting drinking coffee and not hearing or listening to anything besides nature sounds. Whatever it is that is your thing, start it off with that.
So while I'm having my coffee, I like to make a list on my phone of today's chores. what needs to be done, what are the basics, like feeding and watering the animals, watering the garden if it hasn't rained, making the bottles for the baby goats, and then comes breakfast, getting the kids' teeth brushed and dressed, stuff like that that has to be done. It's not really chores, it's just maintenance for every day. And then I do the chores. You know, do I need to clean the bathroom today, or do I need to vacuum today, or do the dogs need a bath today? Well, dishes are every day.
Dishes are every day. We don't have a dishwasher. We hand wash every day. We hand wash every day.
You know, stuff that is different and unique for that day. So what are the big things that need to be done? So then I have my entire list, which is usually on my phone, and I can go ahead and get started, which we always feed and water the animals first, and then the garden, and then we start with the maintenance stuff. And then by the time 10 to 12 rolls around is usually when the unique chores are getting done, like the house cleaning, or running errands, going to pick up groceries and stuff like that. So that's how I stay organized, is a list. It gets me through every day.
Sometimes that list can be very overwhelming, because the today list can, you know, certain days that today list can be huge and extremely long, and sometimes we'll look at each other like, how in the world are we ever going to get this stuff done? But what you don't realize is a lot of these things are pretty quick chores if you just do them.
Yeah.
Like the animals and stuff. I mean, honestly, we can knock that out with the kids' help in what, 10 minutes?
Yeah. The thing that takes the longest is watering the garden.
Yeah, that does take the longest. So when you're looking at that chore list, you know, her and I will be like, oh my God, but then we'll look at each other and be, we got this. We're gonna get it done. Let's just start at the top and just start working down. The next thing you know, really only a couple hours have passed and you've basically got the list whooped out.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the thing to keep in mind. The lists are very good to stay organized, but don't let the list itself overwhelm you. Because it might look like a lot, but a lot of the stuff may be a short-term thing, especially if you kind of working as a team.
Yeah, so when he's here, we will take that list and we will basically divide it up. Whether he does the outside stuff and I do the inside stuff, and then we'll take a break and we'll switch, and I'll go outside and he'll do the inside, and then we'll also delegate chores to the kids.
Yep.
They're almost 4 and 6. Both of them have a few months to go before they're 4 and 6, and they're very capable of doing small chores.
Yeah.
And that was part of the agreement for Wyatt being homeschooled, actually, was that, you know, he's going to start helping out around the house. He's turning into a young boy, and he's going to have small chores that are going to help me out, especially when we're trying to do stuff like leave the house. If we need to go pick up the groceries, then he's in charge of getting the dogs where they need to go so nobody escapes, or feeding them. He's in charge of putting his own clothes where they need to go and stuff like that. And Raylan will follow him, because if he's doing something and he's getting rewarded or praised for it, then she's gonna follow along behind him, and she's gonna want that same praise and reward. So just a tip for kids, to me, there is not too young of an age to start with chores. They're capable of doing things according to their age, and you know, they're extra hands, so they live here and they need the help.
Yep, that's right. So you get your kids involved, you get your spouse involved, but say you're sitting there, you're like, I don't have that. I don't have that teamwork to be able to do so. That's fine too. Do your list, do everything exactly the same, and start marking one things off. Whenever I get something done that was on our list, I'll say, what's next on the list? And she'll just tell me the next thing to do, and we just keep rocking it down. But if you're by yourself and you've got all of these different things to do, and if today's chores don't seem to ever get done, even though you're in a good mood, you're powering through it, you're doing as many things as you can, and there's still remaining things on the list, then that's when you need to sit down and have more of a conversation with yourself on, okay, what can I remove from my life to make this list shorter?
Yeah.
There's always something that feels like you can't, but there is. You know, we might want all of the things that are on there, but we might not need everything at this time of your life. So just keep that in your head. If you're not able to complete the today's chores list every single day, or you know, most of the days of the week, that's when you need to have more of a heart-to-heart with yourself on what do we need to remove to make my life better, to where I'm not just doing chores all day. Right.
I mean, you got to remember who you are, what your limits are, what your two hands can do if you are by yourself, and then we need to stick to that. You don't need to pile on stuff that's too much for you to handle as one person, or stuff that's not necessary. And you know, I'm kind of guilty as that myself. I'm a dreamer, and I like to add things that sometimes aren't necessary or cause more stress. Thankfully, I have other hands to help, but I have also done that for myself. If I start to pile on stuff that is too much for me to do, then it's time to reevaluate and sit down and say, okay, what's really important here? What do I really need? What are the top things in my life that make me the happiest and help me grow as a person? And the other things that are too stressful or that are bogging you down, you know, it might be time to get rid of them or reevaluate.
Yep, and it's not giving up. You're not quitting. You're doing a very adult decision on helping your life out. You know, because say it's animals. Say you have too many animals and you're just kind of at the downsize. That is not giving up or quitting. That's making a correct choice for your life and your family and just your household. So don't ever look at it as quitting or giving up, because that's not what it is. If it's literally just taking up too much of your time, it's making a correct life choice. So just keep that in your mind. So when we started this video this morning, it was cloudy, it was pouring down rain, it's supposed to rain all day. We started it and it felt great out here. Well, that sun is coming out with some meat on it.
It's hot.
And that's another thing too. You got to watch that heat. You know, really try to plan around that, because they get you frustrated when you're out in it, right in the heat of the day. So make sure if your today chores have stuff to do outside, plan them at the top or at the bottom. So you're either doing them really early in the morning or later in the evening, because that right there will make you so irritated and depressed that you just want to go inside and cool off.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird. You don't really feel like the beautiful skies and sun would make you want to be depressed and go inside your house, but it does. If you're doing too much at the wrong time of day. Okay, so your today chores are done. You look at the list, you're like, we marked them all off, we got time to do something else. So that's when at that point is when you start thinking of, okay, what's our more long-term goals that we're trying to accomplish here? And what chunk of work of that can we do today to feel accomplished? And if it's nothing, it's nothing. That's fine. Sometimes your accomplishment is just finishing today's chores, and then you try the long-term ones the next day.
Sometimes it's just keeping everybody alive, and that's okay too.
Right, exactly. And you know, we all need those days. I mean, to me, it's if you can complete your today chores, you accomplish. You've completed the day. Anything extra is extra credit. You know, so you're maintaining and keeping it where it is. But if you can get on those long-term goals, like if you're building something, we're trying to start building on that sunroom, which I haven't got to yet at all. Been trying to get to it for a month now.
Yeah.
It's a long-term goal. It's a want, 100% want, but it is a need. I mean, we're really gonna use it and have a lot of enjoyment out of it. But it's just not been on top of the priority list. You know, it's one of our long-term goals. We're gonna get to it, but we don't stress out about it not being started yet. So what we're going to do is when we do get started on that, like in my head, I've chunked out what can I get done in an hour or two. So that would be maybe painting the windows and getting them cleaned up, or starting on the frame within the sunroom. So those are the little things that you kind of think of when you're doing long-term goals. Just really figure out a chunk of work you can complete in about an hour that doesn't stress you out, but you can sit back and be like, at least I started. Because I know for us, a lot of times it's just starting the project and then it rolls on.
Yeah.
But you know, a lot of times they'll just sit and pinned and wait for you to never get to it.
Yeah. And we've talked about this before, that one thing that we do for long-term goals is we make a goal list. And it's just on a white piece of computer paper. And we write out what our long-term big projects and goals are in priority of the, you know, the list is in priority. The highest priorities at the top, and then we tape it on our front door, on our back door, in our bathroom where we brush our teeth every morning, and we see it. And you know, it helps motivate us because we see that every day, every time we're walking in or out or in the bathroom, and it reminds us of what our projects are before we start bogging it down with other stuff. So we will, you know, like he said, we find a couple hours or an hour a day, and we will try to work on the top of the list, and then when we get it done, we mark it off and we move to the next thing.
Best
and we mark it off. Yeah, it's a really great thing. And a lot of people, they come to our house and they say, what's this list? And we'll tell them that's our goal list. You know, that's how we prioritize, and that's how we get these projects done that we want done but can't necessarily be done in a day. It's just something to work towards for us, and that works for us. It always has. That's something that we've been doing since we first got together, and it seems to work out really well. So I would encourage you to try that. Put your list on your door or your bathroom or wherever so that you see it and it reminds you daily that this is what you need to work towards.
Yep. And another piece of that too, because a lot of people, not just time management, but money management, right? So a lot of people get discouraged because some of their big lofty goals just cost way too much. We have been there, you all. We're gonna film a farm tour here later this week that's gonna discuss that in more detail as well. But you think of these things in your head and you have an idea like, man, that just costs way too much money. There's no way I'm gonna have the money, or I'm not gonna be able to save up for it. Or if I do, it's gonna take way too long and I'm not even gonna want it by then. So what you need to start thinking in that aspect is everything is affordable if you chunk it out. So just like your time management, chunking out the work, chunk out the money. So if you have that hour a day and you're doing that big list, actually write the materials out that you need. That's what we did for our deck.
Yeah.
I just kind of wrote out the wood that we needed and what can we buy in kind of bulks that are smaller saving buckets. So like the deck boards, or then the post for the ground, or the stairs, different stuff like that. I knew those were manageable chunks that we could save for. They were like, at least we got something. Because once you start buying materials, then you can start working. So that's another thing too, you know, a time management kind of list and then money management kind of list all in one to make your priority, because there might be something that's top of your priority, but it's a 5-year goal because it's $10,000 or whatever it is. And your second and third priority might be something that's this year and is more manageable. So keep that in mind while you're staring at that list. What can we save up for and buy this weekend when we get paid, and spare a couple $100, just so we can at least be moving forward to the end goal. So you definitely got to worry about money a little bit in there as well.
Yep, I agree. And sometimes that means, you know, you can buy 2 boards or you can buy 10 boards. We've been there.
Yeah.
We've bought 1 board because it was all we could do, but we put it in a pile and it waited until we got the rest of the materials. It's breaking it down into what can be done.
That's right. Yeah. Honestly, with us, it seems like it's necessarily not so much time, it is money.
Yeah.
You know, it's we look outside and we're like, we have 0 material to do what we're wanting to do today.
Yeah.
And so then you got to go to Lowe's, you got to buy all that stuff. Then you ran out of time because you spent your time going to Lowe's and buying everything. So to me, having the materials and saving up for that and then starting your project list is so much easier, because then it's literally just whenever you can get to it.
Yeah. So lastly, you know, there are going to be those days when you don't get everything done, and sometimes you might not get anything done. What really matters is that you are okay and you are able to wake up the next day with a better outlook and make that list and then start working on everything. Everything does not get done every day. Not by us, not by anyone else. I mean, you have those days that are perfect and everything gets done, but 99% of them, we go to bed with something else in our head that didn't get done that should have. And then I'll just add it to the next day. I'll put it on the next day's list and get that thing done first so that my mind is at ease, and then move on to the daily stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like this. If the dishes don't get done, they don't get done.
Yeah.
Make it the top priority for the next day. So that's the first thing you do. It's something, just time management, money, and chores on a daily basis. So if you're sitting there and you're like, that's great and all, but I just killed my entire garden, that's okay. It's literally fine. So, you know, when it comes down to actually the chores that need to be done, once again, these are things that honestly can wait. Literally everything can wait as long as you're being fed, right? You know, as long as the things are alive, that's really all we need to do in a day. Hydrate yourself and eat, and then the rest, it doesn't really matter. You'll get to it. Don't sit there and just feel like I am so underwater, everything's done. If your garden died, let it die. If you needed it and you needed that time, that's fine. Let it die, try again next year. There's nothing wrong with that. And we're so early in the year, go buy you a bunch of hybrid plants and put them in the ground. It doesn't matter, try it. Don't sit there and think, well, they're not gonna be heirlooms, or I didn't start my own plants and I don't wanna buy them. Go buy you a couple pepper plants and tomato plants, throw them in a pot and try it. You never know, you got plenty of time to do whatever it is that you wanna do. So if you are sitting there and you feel tore up, like you can't do anything, and even the today chores are so much of a struggle, if you ate that day, you accomplished something. Just remember that. Wake up every day fresh, with a fresh start, And I just challenge you all to try because it all is about the starting of the day. Find something that is 100% just brings you pure joy, and do that the first thing you wake up. Don't think about the chores, don't think about what you need to have done, don't think about what plants are dying or anything like that. Find your place. If it's opening the Bible, if it's listening to music, if it is sitting in your garden, if it's taking a run, riding a bike, whatever that is, do it tomorrow morning and try it. See if that just putting yourself in that good of a mood can get you to at least accomplish one extra thing tomorrow. So I think that's all I got.
Last thing I want to say, and you know, for families, if you go to bed and the dishes aren't done, the laundry's not done, any of that, just tell yourself that thank goodness my family is fed and they're happy, and no, I may not have gotten the chores done today, but did I make memories with my kids? That's what's most important. It's all about feeding into your family, nourishing your family. Everything else can wait.
That's right.
We hope y'all enjoyed this. Hopefully you get some encouragement or some advice, and you know, we're not perfect either, so if you have advice for us, let us know in the comments. Because we struggle some days to get everything done. Yep. It's all a process. It's just life. There's nothing wrong with going to bed with your to-do list not done. There's just nothing wrong with it. So y'all enjoy, and happy gardening and happy chores and
time management and money.
Time management and money. All right, we'll talk to y'all soon.
Bye, y'all.